To get access to the top of the strut in the rear, we have to pull off these interior trims, clips like this. All they do is you get a trim tool in there and pop them out until they're like that and pull them out. Once you've done that, you can remove this or just fold it back, which I'm going to do. And you can see you gain access to these nuts on the top. You want to undo them. We're going to go in, undo these top ones here are 14mm. For the bottom nut and bolt, it's just this nut, 17mm. What will happen is the back will start turning. So we want to get a shifter or a span on the back if it does. And keep going till it's undone. Then you can just tap the bolt out. Next, what we're going to do is drop this lower control arm. It's another 17mm nut and bolt. Swing this control arm down and it will bring the strut down and then we can pop it out the top.
These control arm bolts are just 17mm as well.
Remove the sway bar bolt and nut. 14mm nut. Just tap that out. And then that allows for our control arm to drop down. Just push it down, tilt our strut forward and pull it out the top. So here we have the two struts side by side, coilover, stock standard strut and coil. You can already notice a little bit of a height difference. The new coilover had nuts on the top, so make sure to take them off before you try and install it. And then we want to go in and just basically install it in the reverse order that we took out the old strut. So sit it in the control arm first. Push the control arm down, line up your bolt holes. Once your bolt holes are all lined up, we can finger tighten the nuts on the top. And then once we're at the top, we can get our nuts started. And then we can continue with the rest. And then we just go in the reverse order of what we were before. So we want to get everything lined up. We'll start with the strut. Might be necessary just to wiggle the control arm around a bit. Before we tighten everything down, we want to just go through and get everything set in place first. Now everything's all back in place. It's still loose. We want to go through and tighten everything up. We'll start with this sway bar bolt. We'll go through and do all these nuts. Just remember, if the bolt starts turning, you'll have to get a spanner or a shifter or another socket on the back. And then we'll just finish off by tightening up these top nuts. And that's one rear coilover installed. You can then go ahead and reinstall your boot lining. Pretty simple, just fold it all back up into place. Put all your push clips in. Right, so with the front coilovers, we want to undo these 3 nuts to start. Then we'll move down to the bottom. And we're going to undo these 2 bolts for the strut. It goes through the hub. We want to take off our wheel speed sensor wiring. And we want to take off our brake line bolt. And then it all should come out. Starting with these top, these are 12mm nuts. A little tip with these is don't undo the last one all the way. Because if you do, as you can see, the strut starts to fall down. If you undo it all the way, it'll make it a bit harder later on. So just undo it, just so it's loose. Alright, so starting off, we're just going to undo this clip here. Just get some pliers, push in the tabs, or even a screwdriver, and pull it out the back. Give it a wriggle and it'll come out. So next we'll do this brake line bolt. It's a 12mm bolt, simple. Might have to give it a bit. Next we'll do these 19mm bolts. Then we can just tap these ones out. The top one has a washer. Take that off. Tappy, tappy, tappy. Now we have those bolts out. We can go back to the top and undo our last strut nut. It's a good idea that when undoing this last strut nut, we have someone to hold onto the strut, or you can hold it yourself, because otherwise the strut will just fall out. So that's our last 12mm strut nut out, and out comes our strut. Okay, then we have this stock suspension, strut and spring. And then here we have our coilover. We can set them next to each other to compare. We want to make sure that we have our same bracketry, so we can connect up all our brake line and our wheel speed sensors. And now we can put it in. Same as the rear. We have nuts on these studs already. Just make sure to remove these before we install the coilover. Line it up at the top, and we want to get the top nuts, the top plate lined up first. So this is the top, we want to get it lined up. Can be a bit tricky. And now notice here we have our camber. We want it to be going acrossways from side to side like that. So if it's not side to side like this, you have it in the wrong position. And then we can set up the coilover, make sure it's nice and straight. And we can just get our hub, line it up. Press it in. So with these bolts, you'll notice that the top one is actually a camber bolt. That's why it had the washer. So make sure the top goes back in the top, and the right one, the one with no taper, goes in the bottom. Now it's just a matter of lifting the hub up and down into position. So now our bolts are in. Washer on the top, remember? That's the camber bolt. On the bottom. Then we do them up. Once they're all done up, we set our brake line in place, 12 million. Tighten him up. Beautiful. Then we've got our ABS wiring or our wheel speed sensor, plug that back in. And to finish off, we just have to do up these top nuts. So all we have to do now is just repeat the same steps, front and rear, for both sides. And then coilovers are installed.